What's up? Que pasa? What's happening? My name's Ram Hotep. You're tuned in to 13signsastrology.com. In this episode, I'm going to talk about luck. I want to talk about luck because the last episode I talked about the number seven, and it just kind of feels right to bring this episode out next. And I really didn't plan for this one. This is just kind of like going to be a brief clip talking about luck because it came up in my studies. And I was studying about astrology. You guys know I'm an astrologer, and I was studying about Chinese astrology. So shout out to all my Chinese astrologers out there. Shout out to all my Mandarin speaking people out there. Shout out to all my Chinese fans out there. This is going to go into understanding how to control your luck. What is luck or fortune? Most people think that luck is just based on happenstance or it's just based on coincidence. Like you just happen to find that $100 bill in the street, or you just happen to meet this girl that's just bad and awesome and you love everything about her, or you just happen to have bad luck. Maybe you just happen to get into that car wreck. It was just random. And what you're going to find out from the Eastern perspective and the Eastern way of looking at things, luck is very much um, it's kind of controlled. It can be controlled and it's governed by an unseen force. In the East, they talk about the I Ching. And when you deal with the I Ching and you research what this means changes. The I Ching is really what you want to understand if you want to really get into understanding even the zodiac and your natal chart. So you can kind of take this video, overlay it, and think about your natal chart and help you to understand your natal chart a lot better. Because in your natal chart, you have what's called the greater fortune, the lesser fortune, and then the part of fortune. And I'll talk about that in a second. So the I Ching means changes. It's the book of changes. It's actually a book, and I'm going to do more videos talking about that. But in reference to luck in the I Ching, you'll understand it's just like a lottery, or you're at a slot machine, right? You pull the slot machine down, the numbers are moving, and then you get 777. Well, that's governed by something. It's probably rigged if you're in a slot machine, most likely, or you're like in the casino. It's probably rigged. But even on a deeper level, luck is governed by different planetary alignments, and there's different aspects to learn how to kind of like more so control your luck, and that's what I'm going to get into today. Now, there's three levels to luck to control your luck, and this goes for gambling. For all my gamblers out there, this will be really good for you. You have what's called heaven luck. Heaven luck. What is heaven luck? Now, heaven luck is basically fate, what you would call fate. And fate is pretty much the particular roadmap that you're supposed to live your life. Like we all have fate. So this is kind of like the aspect of luck that is out of our control. We were all born with kind of like a predetermined idea. And a predetermined idea is basically our fate. So your fate is kind of going into your life purpose, or when you talk about your path in life. So on a mundane level, or like a physical level, I'll give you an example because I always like to talk about traveling places, if you notice. So say for instance, your fate is to travel from America by foot, from America in some kind of way. You got to make it to Africa, and you got to do this by foot and maybe hopping on a few boats or whatever, but you got to primarily do it without getting in the air. That's your fate. So that's something that you were born, it was something that was pre-encoded in your DNA to do. You can't get around that. So that's something that you need to know before you get into understanding gambling and luck and all of that. You need to understand your fate. Now, everybody has a different fate. So your fate is not my fate. The only way to really understand your fate is to look into your natal chart. And this is getting into your purpose or your main primary focus. Each natal chart kind of speaks a language. And there's a predetermined focus based upon each natal chart. Most people ask me, what's the main theme that you see in my natal chart? And when you ask me that, I'll tell you, okay, this is mainly what I see. Like your chart is geared towards spirituality, or your chart is geared towards leadership, or your chart is geared towards sex. Some people's chart is geared towards having a lot of children, things of that nature. So I mean, it's different types of natal charts out there. So that's kind of getting into your fate, the overall picture that your natal chart paints. Very broad, though. You got to remember, it's a very broad picture. Then you have what's called man luck. And man luck is interesting because this is where we can get more control. This is when I talk about you can control your luck. Most people don't know this though because they think that everything is coincidental and they don't understand how the unseen world communicates with us. And man luck is basically your destiny, which is different from your fate. What is your destiny? Destiny, you see the term destination. So you may basically, it may be your fate. I'll use the same example to build on this. It may be your fate to travel from America to Africa and to stay on the land and maybe water to get there, but you have choices. You have many choices. How long it's going to take you, what you experience on the way there, what you'll learn. You have many different choices or whatever. So this is called destiny. Destiny is very much manipulated based upon decisions that you make. But another part they don't tell you is how to manipulate your destiny is by learning how to communicate with the unseen world through numbers. This is where numbers come in. Numbers are very key. If you know your numbers that resonate with you, like you know your life path number, you know your name number, the code that your name speaks, the numbers that reference your name, and it depends on the number system that you use. So I'm not trying to get too technical here, but the numbers that you see a lot when people see certain numbers, these are numbers. These are your numbers. This is the unseen world trying to communicate with you, and this goes into destiny. So, for instance, you may be on the way there to Africa. You may stop at a hotel, and the hotel may say hotel number 555. That's your hotel number. And you're like, wow, what does that mean? See, this goes into destiny. Since you're staying in hotel room 555, this can give you a good reference point as to how things are going to play out for you in that hotel, what you're going to experience from that hotel, how you can manipulate these experiences based on that number. So numbers is the key ingredient to teaching you how to manipulate your destiny or how to make better choices. Because if you're staying in say for instance, a hotel that adds up to 7, you might not want to do certain things that you may be staying in a hotel that adds up to 3. If you're staying in a hotel that adds up to 3, you may want to have a bunch of people come over. You may want to have a good time. You may want to have a card game over at the hotel and basically bring in some guests because 3 is a very social number. But if you're staying at a 7, you may want to spend the time studying, meditating, getting into like higher spirituality and things like that if you're staying in a 7 room. So this is how you manipulate your destiny based on numbers. Destiny also goes into the moon. The moon is the fastest moving planet. So you can manipulate your destiny on a day-to-day basis by understanding where the moon is in reference to your natal chart and what sign it's in, what phase it's in. Is it waning or waxing? See, all of these things, I'm not going to get too deep into all of it, but this is how you manipulate your destiny. And you can kind of tell that you got to kind of know something about metaphysics, if you notice, to really do this. This isn't something easy, so you can't just roll the dice. You can't just go to the casino every day and roll the dice when you understand manipulating luck on the man luck level. Because some days may not be meant for you to go roll the dice. Whereas other days may be great to go roll the dice. So it depends on the season. Everything has a season, beloved. So that's going into man luck. And then lastly, the last level of luck is earth luck. Or some people call it earth magic. And earth luck is the manipulation of reality via a modality such as feng shui. Very interesting here. So this is when you arrange your home or you arrange your space and you put certain crystals at certain points and you align them. Like say for instance, you might put a crystal in one corner of the room. You might put your rose quartz in one corner of the room. I got a few crystals here. Then you might put your malachite in another corner of the room. Then you might put your quartz in another corner of the room. Then you might put your tiger's eye in another corner of the room. And you may make this form some type of a grid. It's called a crystal grid or a pattern. And this pattern, believe it or not, is going to manipulate this room. It's going to manipulate your reality and the things that happen in this room. You could use crystals as a form of a security system. I've done this many times. I'm not going to go into too much of it, but I've had situations where people have had ill intentions on me, maybe wanting to come into my room and take something or something like that. And they'll get into the room and they can't come in. It's almost like they start getting sick, or they're like, I don't want to come in there, or I don't really, it's something about your energy. I just don't want to come in there or whatever. And they kind of just go back and decide not to do what they were going to do. or whatever. So you could do a lot with just working with crystals and setting up grids and things like that. But not only just that for protection, but it may cause you to think about doing something that you wouldn't have normally have thought about doing. You may get an idea that turns into a money making $1 million idea just from setting up a crystal grid, because these crystals, they emit lasers, beloved. They have like lasers coming out of them or whatever. So you can manipulate realities, and by you just being in the center of the room and you got crystals set up in each corner, you're in a grid. You're in another dimension. I've had some deep experiences where I've sent people messages through dreams about my coming and my presence before the next day, because something was going to happen to me and I needed this person. They just happened to show up right when that thing happened and say, you know what, I wouldn't have showed up if you hadn't came in my dreams, or something told me to email you, or something told me to show up where you were at. I get this all the time just from setting up crystal grids. So, I mean, I got emails, people bear me witness. So people send me emails all the time in reference to this. This all just comes from me working my magic through crystals. But also in feng shui, how you set your room up can really change things. Say you got a nice, beautiful woman coming over. You trying to impress her, you want her to feel a certain way, you trying to get her relaxed. You may be trying to hit on the first night. And you're like, how can I go about doing it? There's, sir, you could set up a mood, an environment to make that happen, beloved. You're like, well, that's going against her free will. Isn't that kind of like practicing dark magic? Well, in a way, because I mean, but at the same time, she's coming into your space, and if she knows that that's what you're into, then she consented to come in. So if she consented to deal with you, so in a way, you could say it's going against people's free will. But at the end of the day, this is becoming more of a magical planet. I'm bringing this up because somebody sent me an email and was asking me that about a love ritual just a minute ago, and they were like if I do this love ritual though, and I send out this ritual, and I'm focusing my attentions on a certain person, isn't that practicing dark magic because I'm going against her will? But at the end of the day, what I would say to that is that we're coming into a time now where people need to be more conscious of magic. The earth is becoming more magical as we move into 5D. So practicing magic is becoming the only way to manifest a lot of things that you want. So therefore, you have to practice magic a lot of times to get what you want through relationships and things of that nature. And people that don't are kind of like sheep. And a sheep's nature is to be, they all follow each other. You notice a pack of sheep, they don't look up, they'll all jump off a cliff. This is a proven experiment. Maybe the black sheep won't. But all the sheep, they follow each other. If the one sheep jump off the cliff, they're going to go jump off the cliff. This really happens in nature. So this is their nature to be a sheep. So you as a magician, and it might seem kind of fucked up or whatever a little bit, but it's your nature to manipulate and to control. So if you have to do a love ritual or left hand path ritual to manipulate and control some things, and that's what you got to do. So this is what going into the manipulation, or what's called earth luck. This is setting up a room in feng shui so that, say for instance, you got some guys coming over to play poker. You got your room set up a certain way to where you'll win. How you'll go about doing this specifically, that's something that you have to get a consultation for me to help you to understand. Okay, it depends on what you're trying to do with that room, and I can help you to set up your room. I can tell you the crystals, I can tell you everything you need, the deities, the statues, and everything that you will need to basically get just about anything you want out of your space and environment. You have to remember, this is your space and environment. But you can even practice earth magic if you go into a casino, or earth luck in a casino. You can wear a certain color. This is earth luck. You can bring certain crystals with you, put them in certain pockets. You could put on a certain essential oil. You could put them in certain points. This essential oil, you could dab it on a certain points on your body. So this is getting into earth luck and the manipulation of earth luck. So that's pretty much it, beloved. That's how you really control your reality when it comes to luck. This is how you can take a so-called bad situation and make it good. This is how you can get a fucked up hand in poker and still win and beat everybody, because you can use your mind, and maybe that person that has a good hand make a mistake. Maybe they have the good hand, because just because you have a good hand doesn't mean you're going to play your cards right. So nothing's guaranteed in the Matrix. It's not all based on 3D. And that's where we get stuck at, is that we think when we go and gamble and all that, it's all based on the 3D outcome. The 3D outcome is the final outcome. It's the unseen forces that create the 3D outcome. We might not understand, and understand them as of yet, because we're new to magic. Many beings aren't. We're new to it, but most beings understand this. Everything that happens in this universe happens based on laws. Everything that's seen came from the unseen world. The seen is basically a sign of the unseen. So you read that as a sign. If you're having bad luck, you need to manipulate. You need to work with your environment more. You need to work with your energy more. You need to work with your thoughts more. So that's going to do it for me on luck. I thank you for listening. I thank you for watching. Until we meet again, Hotep, namaste. Peace out.